Welcome to all our listeners out there. I am Dr. Tiffany Roberts, and this week we are highlighting some very important guests. These are amazing practitioners that have joined me in our collaborative book, The Way to Wholeness: Stories of Physical, Mental, and Emotional Healing. Today, I am joined with Nina Herman, and it's such an honor to be here with her. She is originally from Lawrence, Kansas. I know a lot of my followers and I are originally from Kansas, so that's a heartstring that I have with you. She graduated from the University of Tampa with a Bachelor of Science, right?
Mm-hmm.
In finance. Yeah. And in 2001, she was commissioned in the US Army and served as a finance officer for just over 7 years. And she served overseas in South Korea and completed a combat tour in Iraq. She honorably ended her term of service in 2008. And Nina has since become a certified rolfer. Is that how you say it? Rolfer?
Yes.
I want to know more about that in a minute.
Okay.
Licensed massage therapist. She's a certified personal trainer, certified integrative nutrition health coach, certified corporate wellness specialist, yoga instructor, a Reiki master. Wow, a Reiki master. Certified emotion code practitioner and certified body code practitioner. This was all on her journey to heal and in return to assist others in their journey. And Nina is currently undergoing certification to become emotional energetic release therapist. This is like a breath work kind of technique, and holographic manipulation therapy, as well as an educator in German New Medicine. What? This is how do you have time for all of this? This is amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic.
And letting me be a part of this project.
Absolutely. Our book would not be the same without you, that's for sure. So can you tell, after everything I just said, but can you tell us and our readers and our listeners, a little bit about yourself and about the chapter that you wrote?
Sure. As you're listing off all my certifications, I was like, I feel like I need to explain. You explained that when I was in the military, I did join the ROTC program in college. Mm-hmm. And felt I needed that to push me outside of my comfort zone. I felt like there was something there more for me. And in the book, I share about my journey with my audio processing delay and my pronunciation and what's really called or diagnosed as non-phonemic awareness, a form of dyslexia. And from that and being bullied for how I pronounce things and the slowness of communicating, I just shut up. I just stopped talking. And I felt like to be able to do the things that I wanted to do, I needed to get out of my comfort zone. I needed to be able to express myself. I needed to be able to communicate. And a number of things had happened that ended me up in that program. And so I joined and felt like it was the perfect thing for me. I wouldn't be where I'm at now if it wasn't for that. I look back and I think, how in the world and why in the world did I do that? But it is what it is. It's part of my journey. After I came home from Iraq, I was experiencing significant body pains, headaches, whole body pain, neck pain, and I started seeking answers. The military's answer was medication. And for 4.5 years, I took 3 different types of medication every day, multiple times a day. And it was really only taking the edge off my pain. And I knew I needed to do something to figure it out because I knew the medication was only making me toxic. I really didn't understand that for a few years, quite honestly. I just, fell under the same information that we all do, and felt like, oh, medication is the answer. But I started searching other things. My mother had been Rolfed in when I was in high school, or maybe even junior high. But my brother was experiencing some significant back issues with his basketball career. He was in high school at the time. And we grew up in a very strict religious home. And individuals had recommended my mom go take him to a Rolfer. And my mom's like, oh, that is new age. There is no way I'm doing that. End of story. But it kept coming up. My brother's pain kept increasing. And so she's finally like, okay, if I'm going to allow him to do it, I'm going to do it first, so I know what to expect. And my mother, when she was born, they thought she had died in the womb. My grandmother was pregnant with her for 3 days, and they didn't care how they got the baby out. They just knew that my grandmother's health was deteriorating. They had to get the baby out, and they thought the baby was dead, so they just took forceps to her head to yank her out. My mom has huge gashes on the front of her forehead and the back of her neck from that. And lo and behold, she came out and she's alive. And my mom had experienced pain her whole life. And through the 10 series of Rolfing, which is also known as structural integration, through those 10 sessions, my mom was cured of pain for like 7, 8, 9 years, something like that. She did not experience any pain for that time period. And so my mom became this huge believer in Rolfing and was felt like that was the answer. She just could not believe that it removed her pain. And at the time, there's a different mindset now about Rolfing, and I know you hadn't heard of it, but Rolfing, similar, some ways we explain it like chiropractic. What chiropractors do with bones, we do with soft tissue. So we're working with fascia. Dr. Ida Rolf is the founder. She's pioneer. She recognized that there was significant value in the fascia. And unfortunately, in our medical, they just, if they did surgery, they didn't care about the fascia. They just scraped away, not thinking and understanding the value on it. And old school Rolfing is it's intensely painful. So if I talk to somebody who's heard of Rolfing and it was, many, many decades ago, they all knew that it was extremely painful. And I remember stories, my brother exaggerates just a little bit. And I remember him telling stories about how this woman's elbow was up his nose, and like just the amount of pain that he was in to go through Rolfing. And so when I was experiencing the pain after I got out of the Army, my mom kept telling me, go see a Rolf, go see a Rolf. Well, I kept remembering my brother's stories about how excruciatingly painful it was. And I was like, I'm not that desperate, until I was. And then I was like, okay, I need to go seek a Rolfer. And fast forward, new school Rolfing it's not done under extreme pressure. There's 2 schools of thought, but some schools of thought is if it's under extreme pressure, you can actually have adverse reaction to it, because the body's going to resist it. So my Rolfing experience was very different than my brother's and my mother's. So that's where I started my journey. I was offered a job with a defense contractor in Alaska. I moved to Alaska to Sitka, at a island of 8,000 people. And on the first day that I was there, I was with my realtor, looking for a place to live, and there's like 2 stoplights in the whole island. We stop at one of the stoplights, and across the street I see yoga and Rolfing. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is my sign. My mom's been trying to get me. I had finally made the decision that I was going to pursue it, and now there's a Rolfer, and the realtor's like, she might not even be open yet. Like, she just started. And so I walk into her studio, and I don't remember exactly if they were just opening or if they had just opened, but they had just moved there moved back there rather, and started this practice. And So I got Rolfed. It took significant pain off my body, didn't necessarily cure it, but took a lot of the edge off. And I decided, okay, I want to be able to help people that are going through what I'm going through. And so I became a certified Rolfer. And through my journey, every little step, I felt like there's something more, I'm missing something. Structural integration isn't completely it. Now, for some people, that may be all that they need, but I felt like for myself and for some of the clients that I've seen, they needed more. And so I came across, actually before that, I had noticed some imbalances in the structure, strength wise. And so I became a certified personal trainer so that I could assist in balancing strength. We often have a dominant side and we build muscle on one side versus the other. And some of the times that out of balance can cause some structural integration challenges. And then I noticed clients that were structurally aligned, but yet still had pain. And I could notice the same thing because I was structurally aligned and yet I was still experiencing pain. And people were talking about food and how food makes a difference. And I was like, yeah, right. There's no way that food makes a difference until I started studying. And I'm like, oh my word, there's a whole, who knew like the difference that food would make. And so I started studying food healing. I even opened a healthy healing food truck. I noticed that the foods that were recommended and the foods you had like the time that it would take to prepare all of the healthy food, not processed, the organic, the dairy-free, the gluten-free, the sugar-free, like the list goes on. I was like, I want to start a healing food truck, be able to take it out to events, share my message, get the message out there. And then my intention was to then be able to do meal delivery service and then take it from meal delivery service to have a brick and mortar. So, like kind of build on it before I invest in such significant overhead. It turned out to be a heck of a lot of work. And I ended up closing the food truck. It didn't exactly go as I intended, but I knew what a difference that food would make. So I also started health coaching and became an integrative nutrition health coach, because all through that period of understanding the body structurally aligned, we work out, we're eating all the right foods, people were still very sick, including myself. And I was like, it comes down to the mind. I can, especially in extreme diets, the amount of stress that I would have of like, I'm out somewhere and there's nothing I can eat. And then I'm starving and then I'm mad and I'm angry and I'm stressed. And I was like, what am I doing to my body? Like, it's making it worse to be in that scenario than to probably just eat it. And so I recognized that it came down to the mindset. Became a health coach, and started attracting clients who still wanted a pill. They didn't want to change the mindset. They didn't want to change lifestyle. And I was frustrated that was the client that I was attracting. I was like, okay, if this is the client that I'm attracting, then I've got some deeper work that I need to do. And I need to take the stress off of myself of trying to make an income, forcing people to do something they don't want to do, and take some time to work on myself, find something that I'm also really passionate about doing while I can continue to work on myself and then return to it at a later date. Became a real estate agent. Did that for 5 years, which was amazing. It was an incredible experience. But continued to work on myself. I met Andy Lockmere Mears at an event. She studies German New Medicine. She's become my mentor. That was one of the most profound things that I've experienced. I attended an event with Dr. Bruce Lipton on the biology of belief. That's where I met your husband, Dr. Gabe. And it was introduced to holographic manipulation therapy. And so the two combined just like made such a difference. And then Don McCann with structural energetic therapy, who he was a mental health counselor who recognized that somebody who was structurally out of alignment was having mental health issues. And so he started working on the body And of course, you can't do that as a mental health counselor. So they told him he had to go to massage school. He studied with somebody who had studied with Dr. Rolf. And then so through the body work, his mental health counseling, and he noticed that there was also some breath work that would help to release the subconscious. When the subconscious is ready to release, there was layers there that you couldn't necessarily get to by manipulating the tissues, but you could get, the individual could get by doing breath work. And so he also included the emotional energetic release therapy. And so between the three of those, I feel like that is kind of where my journey has led me to, and combining those three things. So I have a lot of certifications. I have a lot of background, and I can, see different things, and have, there's a few other things in there, like becoming a yoga instructor and a Reiki master, and the working with trapped emotions and imbalances in body through body code, which Dr. Bradley Nelson's also, you're already familiar, I know, brilliant as well. So I feel like I have a lot of different tools in my tool belt to be able to help myself, but also help others. And I say all of that through all of the certifications. If I went through and listed out all my gadgets, all my gizmos, everything that I have accumulated, all the supplements I took, all the things that I was doing externally to try to heal myself, at the end of the day, it really came down to coming within. And holographic manipulation therapy has been incredible in helping me uncover and release those layers of beliefs and programming that are not me, so that I could help discover my true essence. And in the book, I do go into much more detail in regards to German New Medicine, but I feel at this point I've gone all over the place and talked a lot. So you may be able to assist in okay, let's go here.
I love it. With all of your toolbox, you're going to be able to attract lots of different clients and be able to help them in many different ways that are specific to them. And that's really what I love about you, is that you have so many things available, and it's not just a one cookie cutter approach. It's going to be specific to that person's needs, because you've experienced it yourself. I personally know that you have gone to a Wim Hof expedition.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Yes. So I found out about Wim Hof method 5 years ago ish, and was introduced to one of his workshops with one of his instructors. I've since done 3 of them. I knew the benefits and of it, and it's just not so easy in Florida and in my situation, I don't have a bathtub, so it's not so easy to have access to a ice bath regularly, although I do try to do some cryotherapy. But oh gosh, I also like to challenge myself, do something to challenge myself. In 2017, I did a full Ironman.
What?
And yeah, and I wanted, that was a full-time, the training was a full-time job. So I felt like I needed something to challenge myself, but yet not be a full-time job.
Right.
And I had heard about his winter expeditions. It had never really crossed my mind, because it seemed like so far out there that it was not even going to be possible. There's just no way this Florida girl is going to be able to accomplish that. And everything happens synchronistically. I happened to get an email, and I guess, we get so many emails these days. And there's just one day it was like, open me. And so I'm like, okay, let's just see what this is. And they were announcing their next expedition. And I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to be there. I don't know. Can I do this? And so I put out this whole plan of exactly what I was going to do in order to prepare for this, which was being really eager. And there was just really no way to be able to accomplish that. But I thought that that was what I was going to have to do in order to go to this expedition. So I signed up in November, and it was this past March.
Mhm.
And so I did start taking cold showers, but I did not do the ice baths as I would have liked, just logistically challenging. But the expedition in Poland, the two big challenges and hurdles, actually there was really three, is we had to hike out to this waterfall cliff, and it's 23 feet, 7 meters, and the water is sub-freezing. It's like
Oof.
27, 28 degrees. And it's only not frozen because it's moving water.
Mhm.
But we had to jump off this cliff into that water. And I get up there, and I'm you're in a bathing suit, and
Mhm.
I go to the edge, and I look down, and I'm like, no, can't do it. And Wim Hof is standing literally right behind me, and he's like
Pushing.
chanting. Yeah, I wish he would have pushed me. And so I look down, I come back, and like, there's no way. I go back again, and I look down, and I'm like, yeah, there's no way I'm jumping off this. And I was like, okay, Wim Hof is right there. Are you really going to turn around and tell Wim that you're not going to do it? So the third time I go out, and I was like, you have to do it. You can't turn around. And so I just jumped. And at that point, you're not thinking about the cold water. It's
Mhm.
just the
Getting.
jump off. Um, Once I hit the water, then the cold was like, oh, this is cold. And there for a while, like I couldn't breathe. I'm like hyperventilating and like, but they teach you how to breathe, the breath work. I was able to make it to the edge, go into horse stance, and do his breathing method, and was fine. And then I'm running around talking to people. I'm wet hair, wet bathing suit. It's freezing outside. Literally, I think it was 27 degrees that day. Talking to people, had like, it was not cold. I was not uncomfortable. It was mind blowing to me. And completed that challenge. The next day we had to hike Mount Schnitska, and in shorts and sports bra, and the males just did it in their shorts. And initially going over there, I was like, you know what, I knew we had to hike down to Bikini, and I was like, I'm not prepared. It's okay that I'm fully dressed. I'm just going to do the hike. It's okay. But after doing that waterfall jump, I was like, okay, you can try this. We did have full gear in our backpacks, which we hiked up with. But I made it all the way to the top, and they told us at the top with the windshield, it was negative 40 degrees.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy. It took us 3 hours, and the last 10 minutes or so, from my shoulders down, I couldn't feel anything. They had gone completely numb, and I started to kind of get worried about it. Like, if we don't reach the top soon, and it was like blizzard conditions up there. I couldn't see in front of me very far. So I had no idea like where we were at and how close we were to the top. And at that point, there's very little trees and just like little stubs around. And so I was like, if we don't get somewhere soon, I need to put on clothes, because I've already lost feeling in shoulder down. And I wanted, when we got to the top, I wanted to video it. And so we
Mhm.
get to the top, and I wanted to go grab my phone, and I had like no function of my arms. Like, there was like I couldn't get anything done. And
Um,
I eventually gave up. I was able to get my phone and get like something small, but not what I intended. What I was really surprised though is it took about an hour to warm up. We did get dressed at the top. There was a building at the top. The warming up was so it was excruciatingly painful. I had no idea. I thought like the whole, like the pain and the
right.
triumph of making it up this mountain would be the challenge, but the challenge was
No.
warming up.
Right.
It was really surprising. But they, they had all the coaches around. We did breath work. We did breath work the entire way up, which is why it didn't even, it really didn't phase me until about the last 10 minutes. And then we did breath work to warm up, and all of the coaches are going around and assisting people. And that, mentally like that challenge was such a big feat for me. It was like, like if I can do this, what else can I do?
Mhm.
And we then did a 7-minute ice bath and a 12-minute ice bath.
Whew, goodness.
Yeah. And not the same day, but the next day. And
Right.
then throughout the week we did breath work with Wim. I mean, we did daily breath work, but then we did our 90-minute sessions with Wim Hof himself. He's playing the drums, he's playing the guitar, he's singing. Just listen, like it was just quite the experience just to listen. I could just sit there and listen to him play, and just the energy of the group. There was about 300 of us. So putting that all in the room, and he would be in the center, and then we would spiral out in circles around with our yoga mats. And it was so powerful. People had just incredible experiences of being able to release trauma. And
Mhm.
so yeah, it was, I still am a huge fan of breath work and the ice
Mhm.
challenges. And yeah, it was an amazing, incredible experience. We just had a call with my team. There was a team of about 27, 28 of us. We had a call this last week to do a breathwork session and just kind of reunite. And so it was, when you go through, it's just like the military, when you go through traumatic experiences or challenges, this wasn't necessarily traumatic, but a big challenge, you tend to bond closer. So it was a special group.
Absolutely. That this when you were talking about that, it kind of brought up something within me saying that when you were on that cliff getting ready to jump off, and you've gone so far that right now the option is really not to turn around. The only other option is that you must jump. And when we are much like our mind work and our healing journey, we go so far, and we think that the real challenge is finding the right foods and finding the right therapy and just going on this process for others to really help us. But the true healing is within us and our choices and what we decide. And this is kind of like you're jumping off of that cliff. You can go so far with others' help because everyone was going on that hike with you. And Wim Hof is right there with you, right? Your mentor.
Yeah.
You don't want to disappoint, right? So you don't want to disappoint your health coach or whatever you're with. But the true healing is when you take that leap and
Yeah.
you actually trust the process that you can do it. And when you go through something challenging, or you go through getting rid of whatever trauma or bad experience that you've gone through, and know that you're still okay, but going off of that cliff and just doing it, getting rid of what's holding you back, that is the true healing process. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. And that's a brilliant explanation. So brilliant to tie that together. Um, yeah, as I share in my book, I spent so much money trying to find all of these things. And really, if I had turned inside,
Yep.
internal, and, so many of my mentors, would hint at such a thing.
Mhm.
Um, but it wasn't until I was ready. Like they
Right.
say, like the teacher appears when you're ready.
Yes.
Even though the message is there multiple times, it wasn't until I was ready to really hear it and apply it that did it make a difference.
Yes.
Um, I say that in this past year, and I don't discuss this in my book, but we discussed it with the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And um, I know I've those um, terms and the ideas have been integrated, or have been um, present throughout my life, but until I was ready to really learn and apply it. And I felt like there were layers that I had to heal from in order to be able to really get there and be like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to get rid of the layers so that you actually can jump.
Right. Yes. 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 Um,
So, what would you like our readers and potential clients? What would you like them to take from your chapter or from even this interview? What would you like for them to take with them?
I would like for them to take away a shortcut.
Yes.
It's been a 15-year long journey that has been all over the place, and I would love, for someone to read my story and be like, I don't want to take her path. I want to go directly to the source. Like, I want to go directly inside and really know what is right for me, and instead of taking my journey. So I want people to take a shortcut. I want them to heal. I really have this vision that if we can really start to uncover who we truly are, we can accept and love ourselves, and then we're more tolerant to love and accept other people and be more tolerant of others. And what a beautiful world that would be if we could be in harmony and not have so much anger and angst throughout this life, and that we could just truly live and embrace life. And I do share, I guess not my book, but in my chapter, for so long I didn't want to be alive. I didn't feel alive, and I want people to just feel truly live, and be able to take advantage of all this world has to offer.
That is so awesome. What are your plans for the future? Do you have groups available? Do you have services available? How can we contact and connect with you?
Yeah. I do have a Facebook group, Self Healing Collaborative, and I'm there to assist people in healing themselves. Because really, that it is, we're all healing ourselves. Nobody is actually healing somebody else.
Yes.
But we're, sometimes we need guides. And so if I can assist in any way of helping somebody heal themselves, I do one-on-one. I am looking at doing different group coaching programs just to make it a little bit more affordable. And then third and fourth quarter of this year, I will start retreats. So most of what I do now is via Zoom, but I want to be able to do some in-person things, especially with the breath work. And then, my future right now is I do want to focus on completing the educator program for Germany medicine, which is a 2-year program. And then receiving my certification for holographic manipulation therapy.
Yes.
And so those are my key focuses right now.
Excellent. Excellent. How do we contact you?
So my email is the selfhealingcollaborative@gmail.com. And then if you're on Facebook, then I have the Facebook group, the Self Healing Collaborative.
Great. And I will put both of those links, your email and the Facebook group, in the chat or the link below for everyone to be able to connect with you.
Perfect.
Is there anything
Awesome.
else that you would like our listeners and our readers to know?
Gosh, I feel like there's so much. But
right?
What I didn't mention is there, and if not, then I feel like there's other methods. But But thank you very much for this opportunity to share, and for all that you've done to put this book together. And it's
Well,
magical.
thank you so much for being a part of it. And for all of our readers, she is in chapter 6 of the book. And her title of the book, can you remind us what your title?
It's a long one. I feel like I do need to update that, but it's Evolution is an Inside Job, and untangling what doesn't belong to discover your true essence within.
Perfect. You know what? That describes your chapter so well. After reading it, I know that everybody's going to want to jump on this book just to read that chapter, because it's truly amazing, and I got goosebumps, reading it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nina, for joining us today. And our book launch is at the end of the week. So hopefully everyone joins on and is able to join on for that early ebook printing. And then the paperback will be later on, maybe a week or two down the road.
Awesome.